and talk a lot about nothing and then make a decision. This is only a recommendation to carry the work forward that's been done by Rugby World Cup 2011. Councillor Ormsby?
We're only asking for consideration.
Exactly, I was trying to explain that. But
Councillor Bly just took the words right out of my mouth.
Good girl.
I didn't realise she was Councillor Ormsby, but never mind.
That's all right. Keep it light.
You know, these ladies, they like interrupting every now and again.
Oh.
The way I read that was the incoming council is to consider it.
That's what I'm
Not
saying.
adopted for the annual plan, as you just suggested, Your Worship, is to consider it. They might look at it, and I'm quite sure, if I get lucky and get back here, as Councillor McKelvey has rightly said, I want to see a budget before I even consider it.
As I would too, sir.
So that is the time for them to put the budget up for consideration. Otherwise, it won't get past base one. That's my interpretation of that. I might have got it wrong.
Okay, any further questions, discussion? I'm sorry, Councillor Watts?
Yeah, thank you, Chair. I see the Deputy CEO is going to write a letter to the organising, rather to Martin Snedden. Is there a suggestion here, and I'm talking about 3 on 6/2, that the treatment of different areas is not fair and equal currently regarding money or support coming from the Rugby World Cup organisation?
I can talk to him.
Yeah, okay.
Yes, I think there's been some concern that certainly at the national level, a number of the regions have not been, if you like, acknowledged or supported in the way that perhaps that had been expected through this process. For example, through the 1 year to go project, where there was quite a lot of effort that was put in locally to generate interest here in relation to Rugby World Cup, but we actually didn't really get the mention in relation to the things that we'd actually done, or the acknowledgement. So I think what's tending to happen is that a number of regions are feeling a little like they are being left to generate enthusiasm and excitement on their own without necessarily the support from the national level, and that's the tenor of the comment that we need to make.
I do hope that we're not going to be left on a limb, because if we're hosting 3 teams, I think it should, in my opinion, at least generate some meaningful support from the Rugby World Cup organisation.
I think just to add on to that, Councillor Watts, that we did feel as a committee, when things were pointed out to us, that via the website and a few places like that, we felt like we'd been left out, and we felt responsible to the ratepayers of this town, normally the motels and the bars and the restaurants and that, to make sure we got our best bang for our buck on their website and what have you. We couldn't even find ourselves under the Waikato or the Bay of Plenty. Nobody seemed to know where we were. However, the Chief Executive Officer had some extremely terse phone calls. I could hear them through into my office. And things are pretty much 99% correct now. If you go to the website, Taupo's there, bookings are there, motels are there, events are here. I actually produced something the other day to Rugby World Cup that came out of the biggest English rugby magazine that's produced in England, and it was a middle page spread, and it only had 5 places it recommended in Taupo for the Barmy Army to be, and it was Auckland, Queenstown, Christchurch, Taupo and Wellington. So we are now starting to get bang for our buck and make sure that our district is represented and can garner as much out of this 2011 Rugby World Cup hosting rights as possible next year. So if there's no further questions on that committee... Oh, there is. Councillor Kosowski.
Yeah, thank you. Just one of clarification. This $150,000, as it reads there, is for the fan zones only. Is there any indication as to what, or if any, and how much over and above the $150,000 would be expected to fulfil both our obligation to the New Zealand Rugby Union as well as to the Taupo District Council as regards to ongoing costs until the event is over?
And best to answer that one, but I would have to say in defence it's work in progress. We don't actually know.
So we don't.
That's the truth of it. We are investigating and working every day. There's partnerships coming out of the woodwork. There's the big show down at Opataki next year where they're hoping to host 10,000 people for the original. That's where Kamati was composed by Tirapraha. That's a big thing down there. I don't think we would probably have any financial input into that. I think that's been done at another level, but there's a lot of partnerships and things happening, but I'm not sure. But and it would be false of us to lead anybody on a trail at the moment. We're just trying to bring everybody's attention to the fact it's not going to be free next year. We have to promote Taupo in the best light we can on a world stage because we're going to have that opportunity. 23 nations here with TV cameras. I don't think your question can be answered, but I'll let Anne have a go.
Thank you, Worship. The funding that is proposed here is purely for the fan zones. Now, can I just go back and reiterate a couple of points that I made earlier, because it relates to the questions that have been raised here today. As I said, we're looking at closing Te Wharetua Street 8 times. It basically costs 14 or just under 15,000 each time we close it, and as I said, that is largely for security and basically people to be there to make sure that things happen in the right ways. Very little of that is actually going into marketing or other expenses. It is largely a security cost, and in comparison, the other fan zone, well, the Great Lakes Centre fan zone and the when we take the screens to Mangakino and Turangi, are relatively small costs in comparison to that. Now, the second thing is that in terms of actually hosting the teams, a budget was put together and is already sitting within the annual plan in order to do the little changes necessary in order to actually host the teams, and so that's purely for the facilities. Over and above that, it's very much about what this council and the community decide that they want to do in relation to Rugby World Cup, and that may incur additional cost. For example, if there's any other things that we want to do that might be of a festival nature that we want to support that we don't get sponsorship or a partner for. But those will be decisions that you will make, the same as this is coming through as a recommendation to Council.
Thank you.
Councillor McKelvey?
Yes, thank you, Mr Chairman. Just for the completeness of this discussion, I think it's probably pretty important to note in the minutes that this Council has already given very significant capital expenditure funding to purchase these 2 big screens that are going to be used in these fan zones. Now, those screens are also going to be used for our event industry, which is one of the key reasons that everybody supported them unanimously. But I just wonder if the Chief Executive could perhaps just remind us the cost of those screens that we have already supported, to show that as a group we are very much in support of our event industry, whether it be Rugby World Cup or anything else.
Yes, through your worship, the purchase of the screens was just under $200,000.
Thank you.
Right.
GST.
Which were not just for Rugby World Cup 2011. They were for the visitor industry going forward in Taupo, already been used, Ironman, Waddle Cycle Challenge, etc. Because let's remind everybody, while we're on webcam, that to hire the screens next year was more than that price you've just been quoted. So, is there any further questions, discussions? There being none, all in favour? Aye. Thank you very much. A couple of quick contracts here to do. I think we could basically take them as read. Item number 7, as you'll see, it's our resealing contracts that we do. The tender has come in $81,000 under our own engineer's estimate, so I would suggest we take it as read, and I'd be happy to move. Councillor Uvagan?
Yes, I'd be happy to second it. It's a mechanical item.
Thank you. Moved Councillor Uvagan. All those in favour? Any discussion? No discussions. Agenda item number 8. Again, our water upgrade professional services. I think we could all be quite comforted in the fact that 90% of the population, I believe, is behind us in this, having to do this water treatment upgrade. it is, at the end of the day, the most important thing that we have in our lives is water. So again, I'd suggest that we take it as read, and I'll go to Councillor Welch here.
Well, I'm prepared to move this.
Okay. Move,
I think
Councillor.
we went to the use Brooks method for this, and having done so, I'm confident that the chosen tenderer will do the work for us. And the other interesting thing is it's a combination of a local firm and someone and Becker, of course, is outstanding consultants.
In conjunction with Shields.
Yeah, so.
Thank you for that, Councillor Welch. And Councillor Hickling?
Yeah, I wish to second that, Your Worship, and the same as Andrew, just a comment on the. I know that Becker's worked for us before, AWT, and certainly Shields. They're all good companies to work with.
Right, okay, accept that as Councillor Hickling for the seconder. I'd also just like to note here, if I've done my arithmetic correctly, they're $450,000 under our budget. So by the time we take Rugby World Cup, oh no, I won't say that. Okay, all those in favour? Oh, question, sorry.
I was just going to add my tuppence worth, Mr Chairman, and say that thank you, Mr Anderson, and your team. You've proven now that you've got this tender to this point that you have saved these ratepayers of this district, or the northern rating area anyway, anything up to about 15 million on previous attempts to get to grips with this very important treatment of drinking water. Thank you.
Okay, Stormy Thunder, but never mind, I was going to thank you as well, so I'll reimburse that on behalf of everybody else. All those in favour? Aye. Fine. Now, I would like to move here, if you don't mind, because I'm mindful of the time and I have to leave at 2:45. Could we just move, please, to agenda item number 12, please? And the reason I wish to do this is I wish to give notice that I want to be the mover of this because the annual report, as has come out and just been signed off by the Auditor General. 11. Where am I going?
12.
Sorry. Retraction. See, I'm not perfect at all. My apologies. Agenda item number 11 is the adoption of the 2009-2010 annual report. You should have all received a separate copy. It's now been signed off by the Auditor General. He was very complimentary, I might add, and I wish to be complimentary to the staff. In tough times, you have pulled in the reins, and you've still managed to deliver to a very high standard, as proven in my books by the independent poll that was done last year that raised council satisfaction from 44% to 66% in this triennium, as done by independent survey. We've also, subject to other people don't agree, but I want to put this in plain English, that this council's indebtedness is under 10% of its asset base. So if anybody in this room only owed 10% on their house, I think they'd be pretty happy campers, and it's a pretty simple way to put it. So to have less than 10% indebtedness on our asset base, I think is marvellous. You haven't reduced services, Mr CEO and Deputy CEO and all other senior managers and all other staff in Taupo District Council for that matter. In fact, you have increased services, and I think if you read through this, you should be extremely proud of what you have done in the last 3 years in many aspects in the Taupo District. So I wish to be the mover of that motion when we get to that stage. So, Mr Menhena, do you have... I'll take question in a minute. Mr Menhena, would you like to wish to speak to the report first, sir?
I'll just bring to Councillors' attention that there are some amendments we have tabled today. They're only small amounts that really flow through from a change to the deferred tax and the airport accounts, and that flows through to the consolidated council accounts. But I'd like to take the opportunity, Your Worship, of thanking the staff who have done an incredible amount of work. Helen Gilbert, Jeanette Pianga and their support teams. If the councillors appreciated the amount of hours that goes into producing a document of this nature, I think they'll be flabbergasted. So I'd like to take the opportunity of thanking the staff for the work done.
Okay, thank you, Mr Menhena. And I'll take questions. Councillor McCurry was first and Councillor Evans.
Mr Chairman, my question was in relation to the tabled amendments, which Mr. Ben Hennett has spoken to. I just wanted to know whether he wished to highlight anything else to us.